Chosen one, there are moments in life that quietly separate one season from another. They do not always arrive with loud announcements or unmistakable signs. Sometimes they begin with a simple decision, a quiet surrender, or a willingness to release what has been weighing on your heart for far too long. Before anything new can truly begin, something old often has to come to an end. That is why this message is not first about what is coming into your life. It is about what God is asking you to let go of before you can fully receive what He has prepared. Many people spend years praying for change while still holding tightly to the very things that keep them connected to the past. They pray for peace while refusing to release old resentment. They pray for new opportunities while remaining attached to old disappointments. They pray for greater purpose while allowing fear to control their decisions. Then they wonder why nothing seems different. The truth is that God often prepares your heart before He prepares your circumstances. He begins the transformation inside you long before you recognize it around you. That inner preparation is where every meaningful change begins. Perhaps you have been carrying burdens that were never meant to stay with you this long. Perhaps you are still replaying conversations that happened years ago. Perhaps you continue thinking about opportunities that never worked out. Perhaps disappointment has quietly become part of your identity. Without realizing it, you may have become more connected to yesterday than to the future God is inviting you toward. God is saying that a new season cannot be fully embraced while your hands remain tightly wrapped around what has already passed. Imagine trying to receive a precious gift while refusing to put down the heavy bags you have been carrying. The gift is available, the blessing is within reach, but your hands are already full. Sometimes letting go is not about forgetting the past. It is about refusing to let the past determine your future. Your experiences have taught you valuable lessons. Your struggles have strengthened your character. Your disappointments have increased your wisdom. Those lessons are worth keeping. But the pain attached to them does not have to travel with you forever. Many chosen ones believe letting go means pretending nothing happened. That is not what God is asking. He is asking you to release the weight, not erase the memory. You can remember the lesson without carrying the burden. You can acknowledge what happened without allowing it to define who you are today. One of the greatest obstacles to entering a new season is fear. Fear whispers that if you let go, you will lose control. Fear tells you that protecting yourself means never trusting again. Fear convinces you that staying where you are is safer than moving forward. But fear has a way of disguising itself as wisdom. It sounds cautious, it sounds practical, it sounds convincing, yet over time, fear slowly builds invisible walls around your life. Those walls may protect you from disappointment, but they also prevent you from experiencing growth. They keep out possibilities along with problems. They block opportunities along with risks. God did not create you to live trapped inside fear. He created you to walk forward with wisdom and faith. That does not mean every step will be easy. It does not mean every path will be free from challenges. But it does mean you do not have to let yesterday's pain decide tomorrow's direction. There comes a point when you must stop asking, "What if I get hurt again?" and begin asking, "What if God is leading me into something better?" That shift changes everything because your focus moves from fear to faith, from regret to hope, from limitation to possibility. Think about how many seasons in nature require release before new life appears. Leaves fall before fresh growth emerges. Fields are cleared before new seeds are planted. The old makes room for the new. Life itself follows this pattern. God often works the same way within your heart. He gently removes what no longer serves your purpose. He asks you to release habits that keep you stuck. He invites you to forgive not because others always deserve it, but because your heart deserves freedom. He encourages you to stop carrying guilt that He has already given you the opportunity to leave behind. He reminds you that your future is not determined by your worst mistake or your greatest disappointment. It is shaped by the choices you make today. Perhaps tonight marks the beginning of that choice, not because something magical happens when the clock changes, but because you are making a decision to stop living in yesterday, a decision to stop feeding old fears, a decision to stop allowing disappointment to control your expectations, a decision to believe that God is still writing your story. Many people wait for life to change before they change their mindset. God often asks you to change your mindset first. When your heart becomes ready, your eyes begin to notice opportunities that were always there. When your thinking changes, your decisions begin to change. When your decisions change, your direction begins to change. And before long, your life begins reflecting the transformation that first took place within you. This is why preparation always begins inside before it becomes visible outside. God is shaping your perspective. He is strengthening your faith. He is teaching you to release what has become too heavy to carry. Because the season ahead requires a lighter heart, a renewed mind, and a willingness to trust Him more than your past experiences. So as tonight begins, make the decision to leave behind every burden that no longer belongs in your future, because the new season God is leading you into has room only for the faith, hope, and courage that will carry you forward. As you begin letting go of the burdens that have held you back, you may notice something unexpected starting to happen. Life may begin to shift in ways you did not plan. Some doors may close, some routines may change, some conversations may take a different direction. At first, these changes may feel uncomfortable, but that does not automatically mean something is going wrong. In many cases, growth begins with change, and change rarely feels comfortable in the moment. Many chosen ones pray for God to transform their lives. They ask for new opportunities, they ask for greater purpose, they ask for wisdom, they ask for direction. But when that transformation begins, it often looks different from what they imagined. Instead of immediate comfort, there may be uncertainty. Instead of familiar routines, there may be unexpected adjustments. Instead of predictable outcomes, there may be new challenges that require greater faith. That is why many people mistake growth for loss. They focus on what is changing instead of what is being built. They see what is ending without recognizing what is beginning. God is reminding you that not every change is meant to harm you. Some changes are preparing you. Some changes are strengthening you. Some changes are creating room for blessings that could not fit into your previous season. Think about how every stage of life requires adjustment. A child grows into adulthood by leaving certain things behind. A student advances by learning new lessons. A seed becomes a tree only after breaking through the ground. Growth always involves movement. Growth always involves transition. Growth always asks you to leave behind what no longer fits the person you are becoming. Perhaps that is what God has been doing in your life. Perhaps situations that once seemed stable are beginning to change. Perhaps your priorities are shifting. Perhaps your perspective is becoming different. Perhaps you no longer find peace in places where you once felt comfortable. These changes are not necessarily signs that you are losing your way. They may be signs that you are outgrowing your old season. Many people resist this process because familiarity feels safe. Even when a situation is unhealthy, people often remain there simply because it is familiar. The unknown can feel intimidating. It can raise questions. It can create uncertainty. But remaining where you have outgrown your purpose will never produce the growth God desires for you. God is not asking you to fear change. He is asking you to trust Him through it. Trust does not eliminate uncertainty. Trust gives you the courage to move forward despite uncertainty. One of the greatest lessons you can learn is that comfort and purpose are not always found in the same place. Sometimes your purpose requires you to move beyond what feels comfortable. Sometimes your next chapter begins where your previous one ends. Sometimes what feels like disruption is actually divine preparation. Chosen one, consider how often you have looked back at difficult seasons and realized they were necessary. At the time, they felt confusing. At the time, they felt unfair. At the time, they seemed like obstacles. Yet later, you discovered they were preparing you for something you could not have understood in advance. The same may be true now. The changes taking place around you may not yet make complete sense. You may not have every answer. You may not know exactly where God is leading. But you do not need every detail before taking the next faithful step. God rarely reveals the entire journey at once. Instead, He gives enough guidance for the next step. Then another, then another. In this way, your faith grows stronger with each season. One danger during times of change is comparing your journey with someone else's. You may see other people appearing comfortable while your life feels uncertain. You may wonder why your path seems more challenging. But remember that every person's journey is different. God is shaping each life according to a unique purpose. What someone else needs may be completely different from what you need. Comparison only distracts you from the work God is doing within you. Instead of asking why your journey looks different, ask what God is teaching you through it. Every season has a lesson. Every transition has a purpose. Every challenge carries an opportunity for growth. Perhaps God is strengthening your patience. Perhaps He is increasing your courage. Perhaps He is teaching you to depend on Him more deeply than ever before. Those lessons will become valuable long after the uncertainty has passed. Do not be discouraged if change feels uncomfortable. Discomfort is not always a sign that you are moving in the wrong direction. Sometimes it is simply evidence that you are growing beyond old limitations. Just as muscles become stronger through resistance, character often becomes stronger through challenges. Faith becomes deeper when it is tested. Wisdom becomes greater through experience. Confidence becomes stronger when you discover that God remains faithful in every season. So instead of resisting every unexpected change, begin asking how God might be using it to prepare you. Look beyond the temporary discomfort. Look beyond the unanswered questions. Look beyond today's uncertainty, because what feels unfamiliar today may become the very foundation of tomorrow's blessing. As you continue moving forward, trust that every unexpected change God allows into your life has the potential to shape your character, deepen your faith, and prepare you for the greater purpose that is waiting just ahead. As you begin accepting that unexpected changes can become part of your growth, there is another truth God wants you to understand. Not every closed door is a sign of rejection. Sometimes a closed door is one of the greatest acts of protection you will ever experience. Sometimes what feels like an ending is actually the beginning of a better direction that you could not yet see. Many chosen ones spend far too much time standing in front of doors that God has already closed. They keep asking why the opportunity disappeared. They keep wondering why the relationship ended. They keep trying to reopen situations that no longer belong in their lives. They believe that if only one thing had gone differently, everything would have worked out. But God sees what you cannot see. He sees beyond today. He sees beyond your emotions. He sees beyond the immediate disappointment. While you are looking at one closed door, He is already preparing another path that is more aligned with the purpose He has placed on your life. This is one of the hardest lessons to accept because disappointment often feels personal. When something does not work out, people naturally ask themselves if they did something wrong. They question their abilities. They question their decisions. Sometimes they even question whether God is listening to their prayers. But not every closed door is a reflection of failure. Sometimes it is evidence of guidance. Sometimes it is evidence that God is leading you away from something that would have limited your future. Think about how many moments in your life only made sense after time had passed. Perhaps there was an opportunity you desperately wanted but never received. At the time, it felt heartbreaking. You could not understand why things unfolded the way they did. Yet later, you realized that if that opportunity had worked out, you would never have experienced something far better. Perhaps there was a relationship you wanted to keep. Perhaps there was a plan you worked hard to accomplish. Perhaps there was a dream that seemed to disappear overnight. Looking back now, you can see that those endings redirected your life in ways you never expected. God often works through redirection. He knows that people naturally become attached to their own plans. Even when something no longer serves their purpose, they continue holding onto it simply because it is familiar. That is why closed doors can become acts of mercy. They keep you from investing years into paths that were never designed for your future. They prevent you from settling for something that would have limited your growth. They create room for opportunities you cannot yet imagine. Chosen one, one of the greatest dangers is believing that your future depends on one single opportunity. It does not. Your future is not determined by one interview, one relationship, one conversation, one decision, one moment of disappointment. God is never limited to a single path. If one opportunity ends, He is fully capable of opening another. If one plan falls apart, He can create a better one. If one direction reaches its end, He already knows the next step. That is why your confidence should never rest in circumstances alone. It should rest in the God who guides your circumstances. Many people lose hope because they mistake delay for denial. They assume that because something did not happen according to their timeline, it will never happen. But God's timing often protects you from receiving something before you are ready or before the circumstances are right. Waiting does not always mean losing. Sometimes waiting means preparing. Sometimes waiting means growing. Sometimes waiting means allowing God to align people, opportunities, and circumstances that you could never arrange on your own. Another reason doors close is because your assignment has changed. There are seasons in life. What served you well in one season may not belong in the next. A student eventually leaves the classroom. An apprentice eventually becomes the teacher. A traveler eventually reaches the next destination. Progress requires movement. Remaining in one place forever would prevent growth. Perhaps you have been grieving something that was only meant to serve you for a season. Perhaps God is gently encouraging you to stop looking backward and begin looking forward, not because your past had no value, but because your future requires your attention now. Holding on to yesterday can keep you from recognizing today's opportunities. One of the greatest qualities you can develop is trust during seasons of transition. Trust allows you to move forward even without complete understanding. Trust reminds you that God does not close one chapter without knowing how the next one begins. Trust gives you peace when answers have not yet arrived. This does not mean every ending will feel easy. Some losses are painful, some goodbyes are difficult. Some disappointments leave real questions. God is not asking you to pretend those emotions do not exist. He is asking you not to let those emotions become permanent. Feel them, learn from them, grow through them. Then continue walking forward, because every season carries its own purpose. Every ending carries a lesson. Every closed door creates space for another one to open. The remarkable thing about God's guidance is that many of His greatest blessings first appear disguised as interruptions. A changed plan, an unexpected delay, a different direction, a surprising opportunity. At first, they seem confusing. Later, they become the very reasons you are grateful things unfolded the way they did. So if you are standing before a closed door today, do not assume your story has ended. Do not measure God's plans by what you currently see. Lift your eyes beyond the disappointment. Keep your heart open. Remain willing to follow wherever He leads. Because the door that closed behind you may simply be making room for one that leads to greater peace, greater purpose, and greater blessings than you could have imagined. And when that new door opens, you will understand why God never allowed you to remain where you once wanted to stay. As you begin to understand that God can use unexpected changes for your growth, and that closed doors often lead to better ones, there is one question that becomes more important than any other. How will you respond when life does not unfold according to your expectations? This question matters because your response has the power to shape your next chapter. You cannot always control what happens around you. You cannot control every conversation. You cannot control every opportunity. You cannot control every person's opinion of you. You cannot control every unexpected change that enters your life. But you can always choose your response. And that choice often determines whether a challenge becomes a stepping stone or a stumbling block. Many chosen ones spend too much time praying for different circumstances, while overlooking the importance of developing a different response. They believe that if life became easier, they would finally experience peace. If people treated them better, they would finally become confident. If opportunities appeared more quickly, they would finally trust God completely. But God often teaches peace before circumstances improve. He teaches patience before the answer arrives. He teaches faith before the breakthrough becomes visible. Because He understands that if your character grows stronger, you will be able to remain steady regardless of what happens around you. Think about two people facing the exact same situation. One immediately becomes discouraged, they complain. They assume the worst, they lose hope. They allow disappointment to control every decision they make. The other person experiences the same challenge but chooses a different response. They remain calm. They seek wisdom, they pray, they continue moving forward one step at a time. The circumstance may be identical, but the outcome often becomes very different because the response is different. Chosen one, your greatest strength is not found in avoiding challenges. It is found in learning how to respond to them wisely. Every difficult season gives you an opportunity to choose. Will you react with fear or with faith? Will you become bitter or become wiser? Will you allow disappointment to stop you, or will you allow it to teach you? These decisions quietly shape your future. Many people believe that one major event determines the direction of their lives. In reality, life is often shaped by hundreds of small responses made every single day. How you respond to criticism, how you respond to delays, how you respond to unexpected setbacks, how you respond when people misunderstand you, how you respond when your plans change. These moments may seem ordinary, but together they build your character. Character is not formed during comfortable seasons. Character is revealed when life becomes difficult. Anyone can remain positive when everything is going well. Anyone can remain patient when there is nothing to test their patience. Anyone can speak about faith when no challenge is present. But true growth happens when circumstances invite you to give up, and you choose to keep trusting God anyway. This does not mean pretending that disappointment does not hurt. It does not mean ignoring difficult emotions. God understands your struggles. He understands your questions. He understands the weight you sometimes carry. What He asks is that you do not allow those emotions to become the final authority over your decisions. Feel your emotions, acknowledge them honestly. Then allow wisdom, not emotion, to determine your next step. There is a significant difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is immediate. It is driven by impulse. It often produces regret. A response is thoughtful. It is guided by wisdom. It reflects patience rather than panic. God is developing within you the ability to respond rather than simply react. That ability will serve you in every area of life. It will strengthen your relationships. It will improve your decision-making. It will help you remain steady during uncertainty. It will prepare you for responsibilities that require maturity. Perhaps you have already noticed this lesson unfolding in your own journey. Maybe situations that once would have overwhelmed you no longer have the same power. Maybe criticism that once discouraged you now motivates you to grow. Maybe delays that once filled you with frustration now remind you to trust God's timing. Those changes may seem small, but they reveal something important. God is transforming your heart. He is teaching you to respond differently because He knows that different responses create different futures. Another important truth is that your response influences the people around you. Whether you realize it or not, others are watching how you handle challenges. They notice whether you remain kind under pressure. They notice whether you continue showing integrity when life becomes difficult. They notice whether your faith remains steady during uncertainty. Your response becomes part of your testimony. It demonstrates that your hope is rooted in something greater than temporary circumstances. That does not mean you must appear perfect. It simply means allowing God to shape your reactions into thoughtful, faithful responses over time. Remember that every challenge presents two opportunities. One opportunity is to become discouraged. The other is to become stronger. One opportunity is to lose hope. The other is to deepen your trust. One opportunity is to allow fear to control you. The other is to let faith guide your next step. Every day you choose which opportunity you will embrace. As this new season unfolds, there will be moments you cannot predict. There will be changes you did not expect. There will be questions that remain unanswered for a time. Do not allow those moments to define you. Instead, let them refine you. Allow them to strengthen your patience. Allow them to deepen your wisdom. Allow them to increase your dependence on God rather than on your own understanding. Because the events that unfold around you do not have the final say over your future, your faithful response, shaped by God's wisdom and guided by trust, is what prepares you to step confidently into the next chapter He has already begun preparing for your life. Expend key point 5 in 700 words according to prompt without any heading and flow speech, naturally according to overall key points, and add only necessary ending line as you begin choosing faith over fear and allowing your responses to be guided by wisdom instead of emotion. There is one more lesson God wants to impress upon your heart. Preparation is just as important as expectation. It is not enough to hope that better days are coming. You must also become ready for the opportunities those days may bring. Many chosen ones spend years praying for change. They ask God for greater responsibility. They pray for open doors. They ask for breakthrough. They ask for wisdom. They ask for favor. Yet while they are praying for those blessings, they sometimes forget to prepare themselves to receive them. God is not only interested in changing your circumstances, He is interested in changing you. Because the person you are becoming will determine how well you handle the blessings He places in your hands. Think about how preparation works in every area of life. A farmer prepares the soil before expecting a harvest. A student prepares before an important examination. An athlete trains long before the competition begins. No one expects lasting success without preparation. The same principle applies to your spiritual journey. God often prepares your character before He expands your opportunities. He strengthens your patience before increasing your responsibilities. He develops your wisdom before opening larger doors. He builds your faith before revealing the next chapter. This process can sometimes feel slow. You may wonder why answers seem delayed. You may question why opportunities have not yet appeared. But perhaps what feels like waiting is actually preparation. Perhaps God is using this season to shape qualities that will become essential later. Chosen one, imagine receiving everything you have prayed for before you were ready to manage it. Would it truly become a blessing? Or would it become a burden? God's timing often protects you from receiving something before your heart, your mind, and your character are prepared to handle it. That is why preparation should never be viewed as wasted time. Preparation is progress, even when it feels quiet. Every lesson you learn matters. Every challenge you overcome matters. Every habit you improve matters. Every decision to remain faithful matters. Nothing God teaches you is meaningless. Sometimes preparation involves learning new skills. Sometimes it involves developing greater patience. Sometimes it means becoming more disciplined with your time. Sometimes it means strengthening your relationships. Sometimes it means letting go of attitudes that no longer serve your purpose. Every part of the process contributes to the person you are becoming. Many people become so focused on asking God to change their circumstances that they overlook the changes He is making within them. But inner growth always comes before lasting outward success. Your mindset matters, your habits matter. Your attitude matters, your willingness to learn matters. These quiet qualities often determine how well you will navigate the opportunities that lie ahead. Preparation also means remaining spiritually attentive. Do not become distracted simply because life feels ordinary. Do not assume that quiet seasons have no purpose. Some of God's greatest work takes place during seasons that appear uneventful. It is during these moments that He strengthens your foundation. He deepens your trust. He teaches consistency. He develops endurance, These qualities are not always exciting, but they are essential. A strong foundation is rarely noticed when everything is going well. Its value becomes clear when storms arrive. God wants your faith to rest on a foundation that remains steady regardless of changing circumstances. Another important part of preparation is remaining teachable. Never assume you already know everything you need to know. Stay curious, stay humble, stay willing to grow. Life continually offers opportunities to learn. Every conversation can teach something. Every challenge can reveal something. Every season can contribute to your wisdom if your heart remains open. Pride often says, "I already know." Wisdom says there is always more to learn. That attitude keeps you moving forward. It allows God to continue shaping you in ways you may not even recognize yet. Preparation also requires consistency. Many people become motivated for a short time. They begin new habits. They make positive changes. But when results are not immediate, they lose enthusiasm. God is calling you to remain faithful, even when progress feels slow. Small acts of consistency produce remarkable results over time. One wise decision may seem insignificant. One day of discipline may appear ordinary. One faithful prayer may feel unnoticed. But those moments accumulate. They build character. They strengthen faith. They prepare you for responsibilities that cannot be handled through enthusiasm alone. Perhaps tonight marks the beginning of a new level of preparation in your life, not because everything will suddenly change overnight, but because your perspective is changing. Instead of asking only, "When will my blessing arrive?" begin asking, "Am I becoming ready for the blessing God has prepared?" That question transforms waiting into growth. It transforms delays into opportunities. It transforms uncertainty into preparation. And preparation fills you with quiet confidence. You no longer feel the need to rush God's timing because you recognize that every season has value. You trust that while you are preparing, God is also preparing the opportunities, the relationships, and the circumstances that will meet you at exactly the right moment. So continue praying, continue learning, continue growing, continue strengthening your faith, continue becoming the person God is shaping you to be. Because when preparation meets God's perfect timing, the opportunities that unfold are not only blessings to receive, but responsibilities you are fully equipped to embrace, allowing you to step confidently into the new season He has been preparing for you all along. As we come to the final part of this message, take a moment to reflect on everything you have heard. You have been reminded to let go of what no longer belongs in your life. You have learned that unexpected changes can become opportunities for growth. You have seen that closed doors are not always signs of rejection, but often acts of protection and redirection. You have been encouraged to respond with faith instead of fear, and to prepare yourself for the opportunities God may place before you. Now, there is one final truth that ties everything together. Move forward with confidence, not fear. Confidence is not the belief that life will always be easy. Confidence is not pretending that challenges do not exist. Confidence is not ignoring uncertainty or refusing to acknowledge difficulties. True confidence comes from knowing that no matter what tomorrow brings, you do not have to face it alone. Many chosen ones spend too much time worrying about what has not happened yet. They imagine problems that may never come. They replay possible failures before taking the first step. They allow uncertainty to steal the joy of the present moment. Before long, fear begins making decisions that faith was meant to make. God never intended for fear to become the guide of your life. Fear will always tell you to stay where you are. Fear says you are not ready. Fear says you have already missed your opportunity. Fear says the future is too uncertain to risk moving forward. But faith speaks differently. Faith reminds you that every great journey begins with one step. Faith reminds you that you do not need every answer before you begin. Faith reminds you that God is already aware of the road ahead, even when you can only see the next few steps. Think about how often people delay their purpose because they are waiting for perfect conditions. They tell themselves they will act when they feel completely confident. They will forgive when it feels easier. They will begin when every obstacle disappears. They will trust when every question has been answered. But perfect conditions rarely exist. If you wait until fear completely disappears, you may spend your entire life waiting. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite uncertainty because you trust God more than you trust your fears. Chosen one, your future is not built by standing still. It is built one faithful decision at a time. Each choice to trust, each choice to remain patient, each choice to continue growing, each choice to obey God's guidance. These daily decisions gradually shape the life you are creating. Many people underestimate the power of small, consistent acts of faith. They look for dramatic moments while overlooking ordinary opportunities. Yet it is often the ordinary decisions that create extraordinary results over time. A kind word, a wise choice, a disciplined habit, a faithful prayer, a willingness to keep moving when giving up feels easier. These simple acts become the building blocks of a meaningful life. Do not compare your progress with anyone else's. Comparison steals peace because it shifts your attention away from what God is doing in your own journey. Someone else's timing is not your timing. Someone else's assignment is not your assignment. God is leading you according to a purpose that is uniquely yours. Trust that process, celebrate your own growth, recognize how far you have already come. There were seasons when you wondered if you would make it through. There were moments when you questioned your strength. There were days when the future seemed unclear. Yet here you are, still learning, still growing, still seeking wisdom, still believing that God has not finished His work in your life. That alone is evidence that hope remains alive. Remember that confidence does not come from having complete control. It comes from surrendering control to the one who sees the entire picture. You cannot predict every event. You cannot prevent every challenge. You cannot guarantee every outcome. But you can trust the God who walks with you through every season. That trust changes the way you face uncertainty. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" you begin asking, "What good can God bring from whatever happens?" That simple shift transforms anxiety into expectation. It transforms fear into faith. It transforms hesitation into action. There will still be difficult days. There will still be moments that test your patience. There will still be seasons when answers seem delayed. But those moments no longer have the power to define your future because your confidence is rooted in something far more stable than changing circumstances. It is rooted in God's faithfulness, faithfulness that has carried you through every previous challenge, faithfulness that has guided you through unexpected turns, faithfulness that continues working even when you cannot yet see the full picture. As you move into this next season, refuse to let fear write the story of your life. Do not allow yesterday's disappointments to become tomorrow's expectations. Do not allow uncertainty to stop you from embracing new opportunities. Keep your heart open. Keep your mind focused on wisdom. Keep your spirit grounded in faith. Continue praying. Continue learning. Continue growing. Continue trusting God's direction, even when the path ahead is not completely visible. Because every step taken in faith brings you closer to the person God is shaping you to become. And when you look back on this season one day, you may discover that what once felt uncertain was actually the beginning of one of the most meaningful chapters of your journey. So walk into the days ahead with confidence, embrace every opportunity to grow, and trust that as long as you continue following God's wisdom with a willing heart, He will guide your steps, strengthen your spirit, and faithfully lead you into the future He has been preparing for you all along.